Good evening, everyone. My name is JWinder. I want to welcome all of our staff and friends of Riverside USD 114. This evening, I'm here to talk to you about evaluating formal, informal, culturally responsive, and accessible assessments. First, we're going to take a look at what research has to say about all of these things, and then we are going to take a dive into what assessments look like at Riverside USD 114. First, we're going to take a look at evaluation. What is evaluation? According to Serby, evaluation is described as an act of passing judgment on the basis of a set of standards. With evaluation, it obviously determines the value of something. It is a way to measure or observe a process. Evaluations are summative and judgmental in nature, and the value is determined by comparing it to something, most likely a standard. And with evaluations, it determines the quality of our present performance, a student's present performance, a teacher's present performance. Now we're going to compare evaluation to assessment. Assessment is a process of collecting, reviewing, and using data for the purpose of improvement in the current performance. Obviously, assessment gives us immediate and useful performance feedback. It shows educators and students areas of improvement where we can all improve. It also gives instructors a measurement of our teaching effectiveness. It kind of gives us a gauge of where we're at. We can look at data and go back and see where we need to maybe reteach something or touch up on something to help a student reach their full potential. Assessments are also used to improve quality of our future performance. Now we're going to take a look at forms of assessment. The two forms of assessment, the major forms, are formative and summative. A formative assessment would be an assessment maybe over a chapter test in math or science. It is an evaluation of a student's learning at that time, maybe over that chapter, for example. It helps the student understand their strengths and weaknesses at the present time as well. A summative assessment, however, is more of a final assessment given at the end. For example, high school finals where students are taking final exams at the end of a semester or the end of the year. So basically, a summative assessment sums up a student's learning, and they are comprehensive in nature. So they are taking the whole semester's worth of information. A student has to be able to show their understanding of all the information that they have learned. Now we're going to take a look at effective and ineffective assessments. According to research, one of the most ineffective assessments is standardized type testing, so like our Kansas state assessments. Critics say that the standardized type testing lacks real world application. And one of the things that educators talk about the most is standardized testing does not take into account a barrier faced by a student. Okay, so each student we come into contact with every day may be facing some type of challenge, and those standardized type tests do not care uh, specifically about that student. And that's kind of been one of the biggest knocks on standardized testing that I have noticed in my career. So basically, people argue that it is not a true indicator of what a student may really know. More effective type assessments, according to research, are critical thinking based. Um, a couple of reasons for that is students are able to analyze and assess reasoning. They're able to take part in active and cooperative learning. And most importantly is students are able to ask questions, essential questions. Um, they're able to kind of challenge their thinking and challenge their learning by asking questions. Whereas in standardized type testing, students can't ask questions. They can't challenge the learning or the teaching that's going on. So critical thinking based assessments are definitely more effective. Now we're going to take a look at culturally responsive assessment practices. Very important in this day and age. Culturally responsive assessment practices understand each student and culture, who they are, where they come from. We want to create these assessments based on each student's understanding and make this student's life experiences the center of learning. And probably most importantly is equity in assessment. It is very important that all students should learn, grow, and feel validated in who they are, feel confident in learning um, based on who they are and where they come from. So it's very important that we are being culturally responsive with our assessment practices. Now we're going to kind of change gears here and we're going to take a look at assessments used in our district, USD 114. First, we use formative type testing. Like mentioned before, an example would be a chapter test in math. Summative type assessments used in our district would be like Kansas State assessments or high school finals. We also use screening type assessments in our district. For example, Ages and Stages, which is a pre-K through kindergarten readiness test. SABRS, which has to do with MTSS placement, as well as FastBridge, which is an MTSS placement test as well. Other entrance exams, for example, maybe a college entrance exam in the ACT or a technical college entrance exam in the work keys, a military type entrance exam or screening with the ASVAB. And we have various other tests that are utilized in our district for various different things. And you can take a look at our USD 114 assessment schedule and kind of learn more about some of those others. But that's just kind of a snapshot of the major assessments that are used in our district. Now we're going to take a look at our district assessment plan and some questions surrounding that. Are there any gaps in our current assessment plan? In my opinion, there are not really any gaps available. I feel like our assessment plan is very thorough in our district. How does the plan help determine quality of our curriculum? Our data is used to evaluate curriculum by looking at core instruction through our Tier 1 percentages. And this kind of goes hand in hand with our next question. How are results evaluated through the lens of curriculum to determine learning gaps? We evaluate that data and we kind of look and see where our gaps may be, and then our gaps are covered up in each of our classes. Are our assessments culturally responsible? Absolutely yes, they are. Now, I kind of put our beliefs and our core values on here. From USD 114 because I feel like they kind of align with our assessment plan. Number one is all students can be lifelong learners. That is our goal here at USD 114 is to develop lifelong learners with all of our students, no matter who they are and where they come from. And then we want to prepare our students for post-secondary success. Just like I talked about on our assessment plan a second ago, we have testing for college entrance, we have testing for vo-tech type entrance, we have military screening testing. Whatever a student may choose to do in their post-secondary career, we are trying to set those students up for that. We obviously want each student to show continuous improvement, so we are always taking a look at data. We're always seeing where we can improve as educators and where we can help our students reach their full potential and fill in those gaps. And at the very end there, obviously, we're making data-driven decisions. We are letting our data help us make make the best decision for our students. Here are my resources. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.